for the second half. I was raised in a nominal Christian home, and then my folks ended up following Jesus for real after I'd moved out of the house. I grew up running down to the 7-Eleven because it was around the street, and then moved into the middle of nowhere where I rode a motorcycle and shotguns, and I lived it. I rode bulls in the county fair rodeo, for goodness sake. I was 12. Steers. They'd been castrated and didn't have horns, so. Anyway, I've
That's never come up in any interviews.
it wasn't part of the interview.
It's not in the script here.
Hey, if we could talk about circumcision in church. When I got out of the house at 18, I did a lot of different things, but for 2 years I lived in a van down by the river in Fremont and Ballard. I was homeless in Las Vegas for a while. And a lot of that early formative experience shaped who I am, because when Jesus got a hold of my life in 2009, I started serving with this medium-sized church plant called River West, and they had a ministry to folks that were lonely, alone, working class poor or poor, but then also lonely, wealthy people who didn't have anywhere else to go. And every Friday night for about 3 years, we'd all get together underneath the Burnside Bridge and celebrate the kingdom of God. It's like so rad. And I get overwhelmed by the beauty of it all, because I got to be a part of what God is doing. And so, so when I came up, my heart was for justice, to see the rich and the poor, the down and the out, and the people that have it all together, come together and realize in light of Jesus that we have a real family connection. And Imprint gave me that opportunity to be a part of small groups and seeing people in various stages of life get together and actually become family together, to form relationships in the community. And initially the intention was that I would plant a church in 2022. But of course that wasn't going to happen. And so our timeline changed. And in 2023, Imprint Bothell had just planted, and the elders came to me and said, hey, now's when we should start thinking about planting a church. And part of that process is like getting a third party, a neutral party, somebody that doesn't actually know you, to say that's a good idea. Because, we like you, we know you, we just say, yeah, go for it. But that might not be the best thing for you. So we enrolled in the Converge Church Planting Assessment Center. And, Crystal and I prayed a lot about it and felt good about it. But I think the Sunday, 2 days before it was going to happen, all of a sudden the brakes went full on, and we decided that we were going to pull out and we weren't going to plant a church. And we didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't have any clarity from God. We just knew that this was not what we were supposed to be doing right now. And so from March of 2023 up until August of 2023, we tried to figure out what was God doing here, and kept on coming up blank. And so we got frustrated. We're a little bit type A. And we're like, why isn't God telling us what to do? Like, let's figure it out. So we set aside a weekend to go our separate ways and pray and fast and figure out what God was trying to tell us. And at the end of that weekend, we came back together and we were going to compare notes, and came back together and compared notes, and it was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I think all we're supposed to do is sell our house. We were living up north of here, move closer into the Imprint church community, and say yes to whatever God says is next. And so that's what we did. We put our house on the market. And I don't remember if it was November or December, but right around the time when we finally put the house on the market, we were headed into Woodinville to be closer to our church family, and getting ready to say yes to whatever God was going to give us next. Unbeknownst to me, there had been a conversation that Pastor Mark Rogers, Lee I think was involved at that point, had initiated with Aaron about Imprint helping out Kenmore Community Church. And Darren said, well, what that might mean is that you should go through the Church Planning Assessment Center and to go through this process again. And we were like, well, yeah, we're just going to say yes to whatever God has for us. And this seems to be it, so we're going to say yes. And back in 2013, when I felt like I was supposed to be a pastor, but we weren't really sure about it, God opened up a door. And at every stage in my life, vocationally, in ministry, where I haven't been sure, or I have been sure and I've decided that I don't want to anyway, God just keeps on opening up doors and opening up opportunities. And so whatever happens, God has called Crystal and I into this next step to say yes. And we're grateful that we're a part of saying yes with the Imprint Church family, and not just as like Lone Rangers that are parachuting in somewhere. But our heart is for seeing people, especially people that are different from one another, become a part of the same family. And so that's what we hope to do, no matter what and no matter where. Yeah.
How are we doing? You guys all right? Pastor Mark TV, what would be best to cover next? Like the mission and vision of the church, or the structure and the way we operate? What would be the thing you guys want to speak about? Yes, yep.
Does your church celebrate Holy Communion?
Every week we do. Yeah, it's part of our what we call our response time, which we consider as the highlight, the biggest part of our morning gatherings. We set up a time where there's worship and prayer and communion and giving all in the same section, which happens right after the sermon. And we always call this kind of the high point of our morning gatherings. And the hope of this is that people experience and meet with Jesus during this time. After they've heard the word, they respond to the word, and they are welcome to go and receive communion if they are believers. Yeah, so we do that every week.
I think talk about the structure first, and then go to maybe more of the meeting.
Okay. Structure meeting. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you then more.
Okay. All right, structure. Yeah.
If you turn your page, I've got all the stuff.
Nice. Well done. Okay, fantastic. That's great. Look at this. Yeah. All right. Let me give you some structure on what Imprint Church it looks like for you, knowing that you haven't actually been there. Most of you probably haven't been there to see what it's like. And so, and for leadership, Tom mentioned this Tom Regan. We call that one McGregor, by the way. That one. We call that one McGregor. We call Tom McGregor a lot because we have two Toms here. But let me run you through the structure real quick, just so you know. Tom mentioned the fact that we are one church in two locations, and that's really meaningful to us. The idea of having one church to be together and have a shared commonality and a lot of things is really important, whether that means our budget, our leadership team, our lead team, which are what our staff of our church is, and some volunteers. And the hope of this is that we have commissioned people to serve Jesus faithfully in the giftings and ability that God has given to them. Some of them have formal offices, some of them don't. It's kind of the way we function around there. So our structure is, we are the elders of Imprint Church, and the elders are, for the most part, the decision-making governing body of Imprint Church. We make most of the decisions for the church all year long.
High-level decisions.
High-level decisions, yep. And what this means is like, and some of the high-level decisions, we bring our congregation in to give us feedback on those decisions. Like if we're going to bring another elder in, we actually propose the elder to the congregation and allow them to give feedback for a period, is it 90 days? Is that right? It's in our bylaws, but 90 days where people can give feedback and bring words about the elder or the nomination, and at the end of those 90 days, if we haven't gotten like no thumbs down from people, we'll formally commission that elder on Sunday morning as an elder at our church. And this team right here is a wonderful team of men. I'm so grateful. I make zero decisions at Imprint Church on my own. Except for what my office looks like, I suppose. That's about all I get, The rest of the stuff is team-based. And I mean that on a high level with this team, where we decide things like budgets, buildings, things that are going on, hiring lead of staff for our church. That stuff rests with this team. And I'm just one vote on this team. And I only get one vote. So I can tell you stories about wanting more votes, but I didn't get any more votes than one vote. So, and that was only for church chairs. So that's a whole other story altogether. But this team does those